Welcome to a Starter and a Chaser podcast with your hosts, Joe Clarke and Jon Passow.
You know Bill and Ted, right?
Yeah, they had an excellent adventure.
Right. 2 movies. Are coming out with a third one, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
I think John Wick is like the dark timeline where Ted went to military school.
Whoa.
Oh, dude, we're doing a show. Hey, welcome. This is a Starter and Chaser podcast where we do a whiskey and beer review every week.
Welcome to our St. Patrick's Day episode. I'm your professional brewer, Jon Passow.
I'm your whiskey connoisseur, Joe Clarke.
What do we have this week, Joe?
St. Patty's Day.
So for the beer, I have Great Lakes Brewing Company, Conways Irish Ale.
Well, let's get started here, because this is Jameson. Look at that, Jameson. The world of mistakes from when you were 21 in college, maybe before you were 21. But this is like the typical Jameson brand, where in America at least, it's the shot in the beer and the shot in the beer and the shot in the beer, where it's just full of bad mistakes always with Jameson. But this isn't regular Jameson.
No?
This is Caskmates Jameson. So yeah, I mean, it's basically it's a Jameson. It's a blended whiskey that is then finished in stout beer barrels, and that's why this one here is the Caskmates Stout Edition. It is 80 proof. It's pretty simple. I already said it. It's a blended whiskey in craft beer barrels, and where it's finished. And it was Jameson has been around since 1780.
1780. Yeah. That's a long time.
It's a long time. I mean, I don't know. Do you think you can perfect something by 1780?
I think you might.
The coolest thing about this is that I see you pre-poured us some also.
Oh, of course.
And
I'm on top of it.
He is on top of it today. I didn't even think about that before we started filming. I just grabbed the bottle and was like, yeah, Jameson, let's do shots.
Yeah.
But this is a much smoother, richer tasting Jameson. This isn't your regular $20 bottle of Jameson. And the greatest thing about this, John, is it's only $28.99.
Yeah. Not to say that your regular Jameson is a bad product.
No.
Because it's good. But this is kind of their next step up, a little bit more limited release.
Absolutely.
And not all memories of Jameson are bad.
Some you can't remember.
Some you really can't remember. That's true. But I have a good memory of this particular Jameson.
Yes. Not every story is a bad story.
Yeah, I was working for Anderson Valley Brewing Company out in Boonville, California, Northern California. I was their barrel aging operations manager, so I oversaw all the barrel aged stouts, the sour program for a while there. And Jameson reached out to us for this particular stout edition that they were doing, and they said, since Anderson Valley Brewing Company is one of 2 companies on the planet that gets Wild Turkey's used barrels.
Oh, wow.
It's us, them, and Jameson gets the used barrels from Wild Turkey. So they reached out to us. I was able to find 4 used barrels that had huge Archer Imperial Stout from Anderson Valley that had aged in them. I pulled the beer out. We sent Jameson the barrels. FedEx was right there. We wrapped the barrels up and sent it off to them. And then a while later, they came out with the Stout Edition. So that is my good memory of the first batch of Jameson Caskmates Stout Edition.
And I will say, I always like to have a Jameson sitting in my collection at all times, whether it's the Stout Jameson Caskmates, the IPA Caskmates, Jameson Black, Jameson Gold. They have a couple other ones now from different, they're actual distillers. You have Blender's Dog, Cooper's Crows, and there's a couple more that I actually haven't tried yet, which I won't mention yet until we do them. But they're all fantastic. I mean, this is really cheap, actually, for whiskey, and it drinks way up.
Speaking of drinking, let's get to it.
There. What do you get? I mean, it's a light color. Nice.
Yeah.
Kind of yellowish.
Yeah, almost like gold. A corn gold yellow.
Very corny.
Yeah.
Very corny whiskey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Full of jokes at that bar that you do shots in. Yeah, you know.
What do you get on the nose?
So, as with any typical Irish whiskey in general, Irish whiskeys are always very floral.
Okay. Is this an exception to that, or is this...
They're always very, for this one, they're always very floral. They're always very on the fruitier side, along with scotches too, just to say. And that really comes through on this one. And this one on the nose is I always say this about their cask-make products because it's so cheap, really, relatively, in the world of whiskey.
Inexpensive price-wise, not
yes, it is inexpensive. Yeah, right, not cheap quality. Yeah, don't confuse me there. That comes through a lot. You get almost kind of a peaty note to it, really. A little bit of a smoky note. But it is very high on the vanilla and the fruits. Okay. Very light fruits, citrusy, very floral. It's very floral, outdoor kind of floral, refreshing. Let's take a dive into this. Yeah, let's just drink it.
Thirsty.
All right. Yeah, let's go. And at 80 proof, there's no bite to this.
No, there really isn't.
So I'm trying to search for a word here on the taste. What do you get out of this?
It's interesting. I don't know if there is corn in this or not, but I get like a little bit of a dry kernel corn sweetness to it. It's almost like if you've taken a kernel of corn that was dried and you crush it and you chew on it. That's what I get right up front. And I get a little bit of that stout note on the very back end of the palate. It comes through that little bit of that dark malt, that rich malt
Guinnessy
sweetness.
Kind of thing.
I wouldn't quite go as far as Guinness. For me, Guinness is Irish dry stout. It's minerally. With this, it's more like almost a milk stout or an imperial stout, where it's got this malt heavy sweetness to it. And I shouldn't say heavy as in the form of the sweetness is heavy. It's just the feel of it has weight to it. What do you get?
To me, very upfront when he was talking about sweetness, this is a sweet whiskey. No lies there. Right on the front, I get a lot of sugary notes to it, almost like a, it's hard to explain, like almost a peanut brittle brown sugar kind of mix for me in the beginning. And then in the back, you do get kind of like the barrel note, kind of, it's hard for me to explain the beer side of things, but I've always noticed kind of like a beerish kind of finish to it. You know what I mean? But I get a little of the oak notes that come through on this and stuff too. So, which is interesting for something this light. But I do get that kind of burnt candied, caramelized peanut brittle going on. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It is interesting. It is actually pretty complex at its price point, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for a $28 bottle, I would have expected a lot simpler, straightforward. And throughout the initial tastes and into the aftertaste, into the finish, it's still changing on me. And I took a sip like a minute or two. Yeah,
it really is.
Very complex, and not in a subtle way. It's there. It's noticeable.
Right. Yeah. This is a very good whiskey. Everybody should have some of this, or at least try it. Every Jameson I've ever tried, even down to their bottom shelf white label, it's good. Yeah. It really is, man. They give you a lot of bang for your dollar. They do. You spend $100 on a bottle of Jameson, you are really, really drinking very good whiskey. And what's nice about a lot of the bourbon guys have a tough time switching over to Scotch and Irish whiskeys because they are usually very light. Recently, we're starting to see a lot of like the barrel proof stuff coming from Scotland and Ireland. So it's very little. There's not a lot of it out there yet, but I think they're kind of picking up with that as American whiskeys are doing. So
yeah, and if you're a bourbon guy, I'm a bourbon guy, but I do enjoy a lot of other whiskeys. This would be a great kind of gateway Irish whiskey because it has some of that sweetness that you would recognize in a bourbon, especially with the stout coming in on the back end. So it might be a nice transition for somebody that's trying to work their palate into the Irish whiskeys.
And funny thing you say that is this one right here, the Jameson Stout Caskmates, is the whiskey that I introduce people to whiskey in general. I don't introduce bourbon, I don't do Scotch, which is my favorite whiskey. I break out a bottle of everybody that says, "Oh, I can't do whiskey. It's horrible. I only drink beer." I'll find you a whiskey.
Yeah.
I break this out, and I've had some serious haters taste this and be like, I can do whiskey.
There you go.
So,
Jameson Stout Edition, the gateway whiskey.
It's the gateway drug for the whiskey.
By the way, if you folks are watching us on YouTube right now, be sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notifications of new episodes that are coming out. And by the way, we are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're going to transition over to the Chaser, which will be Great Lakes Brewing Company's Conways Irish
Awesome.
Red.
I can't wait to try it, guys.
Back to a starter and chaser. We just finished up reviewing Jameson Caskmates Stout Edition, and now we're on to the Chaser, which is Great Lakes Brewing Company Conways Irish Ale. It is brewed by Great Lakes Brewing Company out of Cleveland, Ohio, on West 25th Street. Local, Cleveland, represent 216.
Absolutely.
Great Lakes Brewing Company was started back in 1988 by Pat and his brother Daniel Conway. It is actually the first brew pub and microbrewery in Ohio since Prohibition.
No kidding.
Yeah. It's got a lot of history.
Yeah.
Elliot Ness used to drink in the location that Great Lakes Brewing Company now sits, and they actually have the bar from back then. So there's a whole cool history behind the brew pub.
Is that the bar that's downstairs?
No, the one upstairs.
Oh, okay.
There's actually a stick with a flag that says "Bang" that's coming out of the bar, and it's actually a bullet hole. And the story goes, Elliot Ness put that bullet hole into that bar. So it's got a lot of cool, crazy history.
Oh, wow.
But this beer in particular is their Irish Ale. It's a seasonal that they bring out every year for St. Patrick's Day. It's 6.5% ABV, 25 IBU, so on the lower end of the hop scale. It's named after the owner's grandfather, who is also named Patrick Conway. And Patrick Conway was a police officer here in Cleveland, and he stood at the...
Wait, did you say cops?
So he was a police officer that stood on the corner of Superior and East 105th, and he directed traffic for many years. So that's why on the front of the label you see a police officer. That is their grandfather, Pat Conway, right there.
Cool.
So, Joe, give yours a try. What do you smell on the nose of this?
So getting into this is a Irish ale.
Irish
obviously.
ale.
St. Patty's Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice color there.
Yeah.
Nice color. Now, is this considered a red ale?
No. Well, actually, no. I take that back. Yes, it is considered a red ale, Irish red ale. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. It's nice. Kind of like burnt orange color to it.
Yeah.
Gives it that kind of reddish hue with the. Yeah, it's nice, man. I might enjoy this one. If I remember back in the day when I had a few beers here and there, I tried an Irish ale at one point, and I remember liking it. So.
What do you get on the nose?
I really don't know, John. Beers are really tough for me to pick out, you know? Somewhat kind of Pilsner-y, kind of similar to that. But I can tell it's a smoother drink. It doesn't have that kind of hoppy, real hard hoppy smell to it. So I don't know what I'm going to get on this. Let's just try it.
Yeah,
let's take
sure.
it, man. Let's do this.
Cilantro.
Yeah, cilantro. Cheers.
Caramel malts right up front.
So that's what this is?
That's what I'm getting.
Okay.
Yeah. The caramel malts, a little malt sweetness up front, balanced by the hop bitterness. Little fruity yeast ester in there.
See, I'm gonna have to learn this stuff, like what I'm tasting.
It's part of the process.
So new.
Part of the process.
I get that caramely kind of taste right in the beginning there. Super smooth. See,
Very
I like
smooth.
this.
All right.
I like this a lot. This is okay. Yeah, this is up there with the last weeder we had. Yeah, I could drink this for sure. I like this a lot. It's very simple on my words. I know I'm saying I like this, but I'm serious. I mean, I'm not a big beer guy yet. As my journey goes on, I'm sure I'm going to be able to say more intelligent things about beer and stuff. But yeah, this is good. I get that kind of caramely, note to it. A little earthy on the back end for me, actually.
I can see that. I can see earthy. Mm-hmm. It's a very smooth drink. It's very easy to drink multiple one of these.
Oh, yeah.
And do a Jameson and then one of these and a Jameson
Wait a minute.
and then one of these.
That's the bad decision. You're not supposed to do that, dude.
I never learned my lessons.
Don't get people doing, Well, for 21, why not? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a good go-to for St. Patrick's Day. It is 6.5% ABV, so if you are doing a lot of these on St. Patty's Day, make sure you have a designated driver, because after a while this might hit you.
These complement each other.
I would agree with that. Yeah, the Stout Edition and then the Irish Ale.
They sure do. Yeah. I'm kind of like almost what I was getting on the back end of that Stout is, I don't know, maybe it's my brain kind of tricking me into this, but I almost kind of pick up a little of those notes to this, that what I was kind of feeling beer-wise at the end of that finish. Yeah.
It might be what I was going back on saying is that malt sweetness from the Stout on the back end of this.
For sure.
You might be linking it up with the malt sweetness on this one.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All right, so excellent. What did you think overall, Jameson? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I mean, it's Jameson. You know what I mean? Caskmates Stout Edition, Jameson. If I had 3 thumbs, I'd put them up. It's Jameson Caskmates Stout, absolutely recommended.
I would do. I do 1 3/4. I'm almost on that full 2 thumbs up. I'm so close, but 1 3/4 for that one. Now, Conways Irish Ale from Great Lakes Brewing Company. 2 thumbs up right from Joe.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up from Passow.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this was a great St. Patrick's Day edition.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm just glad that they, a local brewery, was able to kill it like this. This is incredible, Great Lakes. If you see this, this is really good. Be proud. Definitely.
Yeah. And by the way, we are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. Most of your podcasting channels we're on. So be sure to check us out. If you like the episode, if you have comments, if you want to talk to us about whiskey or beer, or you want to donate a
comment down there,
a product, a bottle of whiskey or a bottle of beer for possible inclusion on another episode, shoot us an email at whiskeyandbeer@starterandchaser.com.
Speaking of that, also you can view our website, which is at starterandchaser.com. And as he said, we are also on Facebook too. If you're on Facebook, we give notifications every week when the shows are coming out, and you can be linked right over. We are also being on the voice side of the podcast too. So you have Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Anchor FM, Spotify. We're on all the major podcasts, and we'll be releasing more episodes on that soon as we keep going on. And we're going to put our links on our Facebook and our YouTube too, so you can just click on it while you're driving down the street.
Actually, pull over to the side of the road and then click on it.
Yeah, okay. Look, we'll see.
A starter and chaser is not liable
for anything that you do with your phone while you're driving.
Well, that's this week's episode. Be sure to tune in next week when we publish another episode of a Starter and Chaser podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Now,
see you next time.
But I want to talk to you about this whole dark timeline of Bill and Ted.
But like I was saying, Ted, I think in the dark timeline, he is actually John Wick.
Maybe what started that off is Bill died some point and he lost it and
went to military school. Learned all the cool tricks. Drives a really cool Mustang.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. I like those too, but